Yo, and welcome to Heretic Frequency. I'm your girl Ez, and I'm thrilled to have Travis Everett, the mastermind behind Melbourne's industrial titans Witchgrinder, joining me on today's show. Fresh off the release of their highly anticipated third album, Nothing Stays Buried, Witchgrinder is set to ignite stages across Australia on their April to May tour. But before we dive into their latest musical endeavours, let's rewind a bit. Formed in the dark depths of Melbourne in 2009, Witchgrinder emerged with a sound that blends the raw energy of 80s metal with the industrial grooves reminiscent of icons like Ministry, Rammstein, and Static X. Their lyrics drawing inspiration from the chilling worlds of horror and sci-fi add a spine-tingling dimension to their music, reminiscent of the eerie vibes crafted by the likes of, say, Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson. With a reputation for powerful and energetic live performances, Witchgrinder has been a force to be reckoned with in the Australian music scene, and now, with Nothing Stays Buried in hand, they are ready to unleash their latest sonic onslaught. But that's not all. Alongside their album release, Witchgrinder dropped a visually stunning music video for Queen of Sin, directed by the talented Cameron Zayak. Set against a Hollywood-level backdrop, the video portrays a dominatrix-style powerhouse reigning over her dark kingdom, with scenes that'll make your skin crawl and your heart race. So buckle up as we delve into the dark and captivating world of Witchgrinder, where metal meets industrial and horror meets melody. Hey Travis, thanks for joining me on Heretic Frequency tonight. How has your day been?
Good, thanks, Ez. Yeah, just been wrapping up a few interviews today actually, and just getting a few things ready for next week.
I've had a little eyeball at your schedule. It looks like it's relatively hectic at the moment.
It is, yeah. That's to come when you release an album.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you have sacrificed a little slice of your evening to talk to me tonight, so we can get the lowdown on what is new with Witchgrinder. Congratulations on the release of your third album, Nothing Stays Buried.
Yes, thank you very much.
So it was released just last week, so it's early days, I know. But how has the fan reception been so far?
It's been unreal because we decided to put this out by ourselves without a label this time. We were unsure of how many people it'd get out to or what fans it would. But with everything that just the way we worked it all out, but the response has been just amazing. I think the fans really they needed this album from us um, because it had been so long in between albums. So
Yeah, it has been a while. And was that because you were sort of working out what you were going to do in terms of releasing independently versus staying on a label, or?
no, the reason between the albums was because one of few of the members there was a member changes throughout that through over the years. There was also COVID, as we all know, and what else got in the way? I had a few injuries, skateboarding accidents that put me out of things for a little while. So no, this album it just took that bit of time where we're waiting for the right members to be involved, and instead of having it just as a the band was really set up as just a live working machine. Wasn't really we weren't doing much writing. We were just
Yeah.
touring a lot. Finally, the lineup, you know, uh, just the way it is now is just perfect. We all have the same goals and want everything the same out of the band. And writing was the first thing. Once we were all together as all four, that was the first thing we said. We need a new album out.
Yeah, sick. So how was the journey then of writing and recording this album as an independent dealio?
It was fun. It was a lot of work. Probably the hardest thing was coming up with the money.
Yes.
Without having a label or any of that support, we had to do it ourselves, which is we had to sacrifice a lot of and miss out on a bunch of things, which I'm grateful that the other boys, had done it all. We all done it together, and we done it hard, and um, paid for it all ourselves and released it and all those kind of things like that. So it was a lot of extra work, but we found at the end of the day it would probably pay off for us better to do it this way, just where we're at the moment.
Yeah.
A few of a few of the labels and things that had we had spoken to or had reached out to us weren't offering us quite what we thought this album deserved.
Yeah, sure.
And I think they know that.
Yeah.
So
No, I guess there's a level of personal satisfaction in doing it yourself as well, like that hard work paying off at the end. And in terms of, the length of time between albums for you two, like I'm a big believer in things happening when they're supposed to. And it sounds like you guys are in a super good groove right now. So it happened when this album came when it was due.
Yeah, I think it's perfect timing for us to have dropped this.
I would have liked to have done it last year. We were all excited to do it last year, but we ended up getting back on the road again. And I think that kind of helped. Like we
Yes.
had a fair bit of the album ready, but I do think us being together and going out on the road and spending more time together and talking about the album more definitely helped to what you're hearing now today. So yeah, I think it was the right time. It was perfect timing for us to drop it.
So are you saying that time on the road sort of helped solidify bonds a bit further, and that helps with the finished product at the end when you're recording?
Yes, well, not only that, because the bonds have been pretty strong because we're all very good friends and we've all known each other outside the
Before we're all together in a band together. So we're all just a bunch of mates that have known each other very well. But I guess the bonds did get stronger. But what I'm also meaning is because we were playing and working together and making music, the ideas between us all were, everyone got to put in a lot more, got their say, and we
Yeah.
understood where we're all coming from. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. There's oil going through the cogs, so to speak.
that's it. Yes.
So another big talking point with you guys right now is this ripper of a music video that you've recently put out for Queen of Sin. It's a very cinematic and dramatic video, and there are so many
Mm.
characters featured. It must have been probably both tediously involved to create, yet incredibly fun. Do you want to tell me about that process?
Yes, so the director, he pretty much done everything in that clip. He edited it, filmed it, starred in it. He done everything. I've been friends with him for a long time. He's done a couple of our clips before, but I mean over the years he's just like us. He's just built and worked and he is amazing. So, but he lives up in Brisbane now. So I spoke to him only a couple of weeks out before we wanted the clip to be released, asking if he'd be down, and he said yes. So I gave him the ideas that I had, which was a lot lower budget than what he had in mind. He came back to me, and then we just started spitballing ideas between each other. Got very carried away. And look, we asked for a lot of favors of a lot of friends. A lot of the women in the clip are friends. The guys were friends of ours. People who worked on the color and the makeup and all those kind of things were either friends of Cam's. Um, so we did. We asked for a lot of favors to get it done. But I think everyone knew when we described what we wanted to do with the video. I think everyone was so in on it. Like they knew that there was something special and cool.
Yeah.
Like it's not every day you get to do something cool like that.
Yeah, it's a super good video.
Yeah. So we were very happy. Cameron had a very me and Cameron, the director, had a very good I don't know how to explain this word. We knew what we wanted and we were focused on it.
Yeah, you had a vision.
Yeah. The vision was there. We
Yeah.
went for it, and I think we nailed what we wanted to get across. So
Yeah, you must be very proud of it. I must say as well, considering you've just told me that a large portion of the people involved were your friends, you have a lot of sexy women as friends.
Yeah, we do.
They make it. It's very visually appealing, not just because they're all very attractive people, but everyone plays their
mm,
character really well. And yeah, there's a lot to look at. I've had to go back and have a couple of looks just to take everything in. One thing I did notice in comparison with your like previous videos that you've put out is that there's probably this is the most what's the word I'm looking for? Like theatrical. It's got less band shots in it than it does
Yes, more a story. This one, yes,
story.
definitely.
Yeah.
We focused on the story. We were not the main character in this clip. That goes to Mistress Ada, who played the Queen of Sin.
And she was perfect. She was rad.
Absolutely. Nailed it. She just nailed it.
Badass.
So I understand as well that the lyrics of this new album are inspired by horror and sci-fi films.
Yep.
Which movie has cast the biggest influence over the project? Like what is the mothership, so to speak?
Well, it's very hard to pinpoint the one. They mostly came from 80s horror movies. A lot of the stories.
Hmm.
Um, the 80s and 90s, mostly the 80s were my favorite because that was the first time I was a little kid when that came out. I mean, I grew up in the 90s really, but 80s movies were around and that's what I was watching. That was my first introduction to horror. So, I mean, I used a lot of ideas from a lot of those movies, but I think the main one that kept going back was Pet Cemetery. We've got a song called You
Yeah.
Bury Your Own on that. The cover, being called Nothing Stays Buried, and the cover's got a guy with a spade. It's all kind of that graveyardy, um,
Yes.
something, yeah, just spookiness. Or
There's a bunch of it, but yeah, I think that's what we went for a vibe for. It just kind of came together.
There's something really unique about 80s horror films, I think, because they were on the cusp of that change between special effects of the past and the future, if that makes sense. Like I feel like they've got their own feel about them. I'm from the same generation, so I grew up in the 90s but was a kid in the
yeah,
80s as well, so I love all that stuff too. I think there's a different vibe to those sorts of films, that just has a, I don't know, has a certain
yeah,
feel about it, and I love that you've put kind of that vibe into your music for this album.
yeah. I was, like I said, it was just such a big part. I mean, Witchgrinder's always sung about horror and
Mm,
movies and the stories that we'd heard. I mean, some true crime stories, all kinds of things. But I started to notice after a little while, probably about halfway through this album, that it was starting to focus a lot on the 80s horror movies, and that the whole theme around it was that.
yeah, okay, so it wasn't intentional.
No, it wasn't at the start, but then as I seen it taking shape, um, that's when we worked out, okay, this is the direction we want to take this album. Like, you know,
Yeah, I love that.
And you're right, like with the special effects coming in the 90s, the CGI and you know the less practical effects. I think with this album we kind of did go. I mean, the production's absolutely the biggest that we've ever done, but we did go back to the practical ideas with the band and the old 80s. Like the solos are longer. Even
Hmm.
the 80s, like we've incorporated a bit of 80s metal into this. Like the Queen of Sin song is as lead driven, and that has got a Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses kind of feel in some of it. Like
Yeah,
that's our rock anthem for the for the album.
I was going
So
to
there was a
say
lot of
that
80s
it's
influence.
kind of the dancey, like, yeah, the dancey kind of vibe on the album, I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm going to ask you the hardest question. What is your favorite horror movie?
Okay. Well, I've been asked this so many times, and I don't
I
really have an answer. But I
was going to say,
do.
do you give a different answer each time?
No, I don't, because I'm going to give you the same answer I do every time.
But it is Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, cool.
If I give an answer, just
Yeah.
because it had so many different, like if you go back and watch that 80s.
Pet Cemetery. There is so many parts in it.
Hmm.
Like that the little kid scene with the truck. Um,
Yeah.
Still, I can't look at the screen when that happens. I have to turn away.
If you know what part I'm saying, I don't really.
Yeah, I
I
do. Yeah.
mean, people have had 40 years to watch this movie, so I don't think I'm giving any
You know,
spoilers. But yes,
no.
when the kid gets hit by the truck, I cannot look at the screen. There's a
Yeah.
part where the cat's getting put down, and even though it's evil, I still feel sorry for the cat. There's a part with the sister, and she's creepy. There's just
I just think it has everything a horror movie needs, and I
Absolutely.
really love that movie. But then there are so many other movies like that are right up there. So I don't know. Pet Cemetery's always been my go-to.
Yeah. What about a really
Yep.
obscure or hidden gem that wouldn't necessarily be on people's radar? Do you have something like B grade that you just think
With
is
horror
awesome?
movies,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. Oh, now you've put me on the spot.
Well, I've got one.
Yeah, go.
I've never met anyone else that's ever seen this film, and I loved it when I was a teenager, and I still, it's one of my favorite horrors, and it's very B grade, but it's called Dolls. It's just simply called Dolls. And
Dolls.
yeah, and it's got that like stop motion animation. All the dolls in this house. I won't give any spoilers away, but there's a house, creepy old house full of dolls, and they're all stop motion animation is how they've made the movie.
It's bringing back memories, but yeah, I'm not sure I've seen it, but I definitely know the because I can even can picture the font. I think it's like a Times
Yeah,
Roman um that font or whatever it is with dolls, and I can picture it at the video store.
yeah, yeah.
And I've got a massive VHS collection, so it's probably in there. I just cannot think of the movie, but it does ring
Oh,
bells.
do yourself a favor and give it a watch. It's super good.
I will. I will.
I'll have plenty of time when we're on tour and I'm sitting in the car. We're doing a lot of this tour driving around the country, and it's going to be hours and hours. So I'll definitely have time to check out a lot of movies and things like
Well,
that.
if you have trouble getting hold of it, hit me up and I'll sort you out.
Awesome.
Speaking of your tour, I was going to launch into that next. So you've got that's commencing next week, is that
Yes,
right?
correct.
Kicking off in
Yep,
Sydney?
I know. Look out.
But do my eyes deceive me, or is Melbourne not on that schedule?
It wasn't until Tuesday we announced, so maybe the schedule that you've got is a bit older.
Okay.
We had a few things going on in Melbourne, so uh, we never advertised a Melbourne show. We were still locking it in. We knew it was coming. But we decided to release the tour early without the Melbourne show. Kind of a
To stir up our Melbourne fans as well.
we do love them, but we just
Well, it clearly worked because I was like, WTF? Where's Melbourne?
yep. It wasn't quite as intentional as that, but when we saw people, our Melbourne fans getting a little bit upset, like, "How dare you? We're Melbourne. We've supported you this whole time, and you're not having us on.
Yeah.
You're not having us on the tour." We kind of had a little bit of fun with that, so we actually pulled it back even a week or two from announcing, just to
Wind them up a little bit more.
I love that.
But
That's
we will
so
be
good.
doing something special for Melbourne, like especially at the show. Even we get to bring our bigger stage show. Like for the tour, we still bring a bunch of lights and other little things to build up the stage, and we still like put a lot of thought into our touring, but we're limited to what we can use and what we can't when we're on the road. So when we get back, so the Melbourne show's on May the 24th, just in case, because you don't have
Yep.
it in front of you. We'll have a
No. And whereabouts is that?
sorry, at the Northcote Social Club in Northcote.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, so
Yeah, sick.
that's a great venue. We're really excited, and we'll be able to, like I said, we'll be able to pull a bunch of other things that we normally can't when we're on the road, because Melbourne being so close and everything, the stage
Yeah.
can be done up a bit more. But that's not to say
So the other shows aren't going to kick ass.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. Well, you've got a whole host of them, which I'll list off at the end of the interview. I
Yep.
guess I'll just say that everyone should just get out there and get to the nearest Witchgrinder show that is closest to you and get around Nothing Stays Buried. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you this afternoon, Travis. Thanks for coming onto the show. Would you mind signing us off? I'm going to get you to pick your favorite song from the album, and if you can announce it for me, and then that's what I'm going to play.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at the CD now.
Yeah,
How
just
do
put
I
you on the spot.
how do I pick a song out of this album? You know what? I'll
Just
go.
don't tell the others.
What's that?
It's like no, it's like trying to pick a favorite child
Yeah,
but you just don't tell the
don't tell
others.
the others. I'm going to pick Upon Cursed Grounds for this one, just because it hasn't been played as much on the radio. So you'll be one of the
Yes.
first giving it more of a spin. And I do think there's some great parts in that song.
Love that. Thank you. Hopefully I'll catch you in Melbourne at your show.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be great. And you're a horror fan. You're a horror fan, so it worked out good.
Yeah, 100%. You should see. I can't my background's blurred, but I've got a Chucky doll just to my right here,
I've got one.
There's a Ouija board over there in that corner, and yeah.
Yeah, rad. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a great chat.
Yeah. Oh, cheers. Thank you very much. Well, that is a wrap on my conversation with Travis Everett of Witchgrinder, a band that is clearly a force to be reckoned with. Their fusion of metal, industrial, and horror-inspired lyrics creates a captivating sonic experience that demands attention. But here's the thing. Experiencing Witchgrinder's music live is a whole different beast. Their commanding stage presence, fueled by their relentless energy, is something that you really don't want to miss. So mark your calendars and make sure to catch them at one of the dates on their upcoming tour. Kicking off on Friday, April 12, they will be at the Duke in Sydney. Saturday, April 13, at the Potbelly Bar in Canberra. On Friday, April the 19th, they will be at the Sets in Mildura before heading to the London Tavern in Adelaide on Saturday, April 20. Wednesday, April 24, you can catch them at Stranded in Brisbane. Thursday, April 25, they will be on the Goldie, Moe's Desert Clubhouse. Yes, that's on the Gold Coast. Friday, April 26 at Altar in Hobart. And, of course, they will be finishing up on their home turf in Melbourne at the Northcote Social Club on Friday, May 24. Trust me, this is one live music experience that you won't want to miss. And make sure that you fill your ear holes with their newest record, Nothing Stays Buried. Thanks for listening, and be sure to tune in to the next episode of Heretic Frequency, where I will be chatting with Melbourne metalcore legends Rise from Ashes. Until then, keep life heavy, my little heretics.